This is ridiculous. Shadow Eater, one angry pagan here. James O'Brien, yesterday, came across a Prince Andrew apologist. Why? Why is there a Prince Andrew apologist? Why? I haven't heard this yet. I have a feeling it's going to be a trigger. So let's see.
Ted, how do you think this call's gone for you?
Probably not very well. I think my point that I want to make is the difference between Harry and Prince Andrew is, I think, from how I understand it, Harry chose to leave, take his wife and family to California, like you said earlier, to protect her and to protect them and take them away. So I don't think that he's not being invited or not being included. I think he's chosen to take himself away. And then on the Prince Andrew side, I think I personally don't think he's done anything wrong. So he's not taking himself away and he's trying to push himself back.
What? What do you mean? What? What do you mean he hasn't done anything? What?
In because what he thinks he has or hasn't done is very minor. So I don't think that he
sexual assault of any kind is not minor. What the fuck? How can anyone call any sort of sexual assault minor? That's ridiculous.
Calling him the friend of a paedophile and condemning him for being friends with a paedophile, I think it's unfair because there are so many people that have friends that have done awful things.
No, but
he was directly accused himself.
Mates afterwards, after he'd come out of jail.
What I was saying to the lady before I spoke to you is, you don't know what conversations are being had or have been had behind closed doors. You don't know
bollocks, mate.
What Prince Andrew said to Jeffrey Epstein behind closed doors. You don't know if they were being best friends or whether they actually went there and said, "You know what? This is awful. I can't believe you've done this."
No, fuck off. Prince Andrew went to Epstein's place time after time after time after time. There's no way that Prince Andrew was going to Epstein's place and going, "Oh, you're a really bad person. This is really wrong." Bollocks. The man's a pedo.
And the rest of it.
No, you're right. You're right. No, you got me back to rights, Jack. It's perfectly possible he flew all the way to New York after his mate had got out of jail to say, "Gosh, I can't believe what a wrong 'un you are."
No, but
it's complete. It's complete bullshit. I am proud that James here is so good at keeping himself calm whilst talking to absolute fucking idiots.
And all those teenage girls that were hanging around at your private island, you mean that some of them were there and they didn't want to? I had absolutely no idea, Jeffrey. Look at the embarrassment you've caused me. Shame on you and your international sex trafficking paedophile ways. You're right, Jack. It could easily have been that conversation he flew out to have.
But I think you don't know that.
I agree with you, mate. It could absolutely. He could have flown all the way to New York to say all those girls that were knocking around, who I asked you whether they were underage, and you assured me that they weren't, and they were all there entirely of their own volition. God, the embarrassment! You disgusting man! Shame on you for offering me massages with them and taking my photograph with my arms around. Shame on you, Jeffrey Epstein, for your disgusting behaviour. You're right, mate.
No, see what you're hearing there is fantastic sarcasm there from James O'Brien. Absolutely brilliant. And I can tell this guy just went straight over this guy's head. Because he's there to defend Prince fucking Andrew.
The thing about Jeffrey Epstein is he was a master groomer, manipulator, and horrible person.
You don't know that.
So when it's Prince Andrew, we don't know anything. But when it's Epstein, we know everything. Like, make your mind up, mate.
You don't know what conversations he had in private. He might have been a lovely guy. No, sorry, I'm just deploying your own logic.
Exactly. See, this is why I like James O'Brien. He rips people to pieces and still stays calm. I can't do that. I lose my fucking shit.
Jack.
Just to go back on what you just said then, we know that's not true because we know...
I mean, James is fucking grinning here.
crimes he was convicted of and the things that we know he did.
How do we know that?
Because
How do we know that?
we know.
How?
We know that it's fact.
Yeah, because he
Yeah,
went to.
like, no. James says, how do we know? The answer isn't because we know. No, the answer should be because there's evidence. Saying that we know because, well, we know, isn't an answer! Or at least it's not an answer from an intelligent person.
Court and
Yeah, of
face
course.
face the accusations.
But
So now, off
Andrew
the top
never
of your
did.
head, who didn't?
Andrew never did.
Exactly. How did he
So how
avoid
can
it?
you- well, by doing what everyone else would have done in that situation. That wasn't it?
Oh my fucking gods. This guy has thrown so much rope for Andrew, it's unreal.
So you, innocent of sexual assault allegations, would pay off the accuser rather than have your day in court and prove.
See, this is why I don't believe Prince Andrew. Instead of going through it and proving his innocence, he paid off the woman who accused him. Fucking prick.
Your innocence.
If I
It's a simple
well,
question,
I wouldn't,
Jack.
'cause I wouldn't because I don't have that kind of money.
It's
But
all right. She's going to take 50 quid, mate. Are you going to
Mate, it's not bad. Oh, it's bad principle. It shows that Prince Andrew doesn't have any fucking principles.
pay her off, or are you going to have your day in court?
if she's going to take 50 quid for a sexual assault, then I would imagine that there's something deeper going on there than. if you
You were the one who said there was you were the. This guy was the one who said earlier in this fucking call that there's such thing as minor sexual assault, which there isn't. I don't care who wants to tell me otherwise. To me, there isn't. Sexual assault is sexual assault. I don't care about the level of it. It's still sexual assault. Fuck off.
if you're so traumatized and upset and you're willing to be paid off and not actually go through the process to get the person that you're accusing of doing something
12
awful
million
to,
pounds. You realise that you are.
He's trying to make the woman the bad guy here. This caller is sus as fuck.
Essentially acting here as an apologist for someone accused of sexual assault.
no,
you are. That's not an
That is-
opinion. That's just counting.
Yeah,
Here's the man accused of sexual assault, and here's Jack in Bedford defending him.
yeah, exactly. That's
I'm
exactly
not
what's going on here.
defending him.
Totally
You,
are.
oh my gods! I'm not defending Prince Andrew, despite the fact he's just spent 3 minutes and 38 seconds defending Prince Andrew. My fucking gods! Freak, help me!
You
Because
totally are.
I just think that you can't. I think you have to.
Go on.
The court public opinion is can be. I don't know what the right word to use is, but
You're telling me.
I don't know how to word it in a way. Judging
But you
someone.
know why you can't word it?
Why is that?
Because your thoughts don't make sense. And your thought is, Prince Harry brought this on himself by sticking up for himself and his wife, whereas Prince Andrew is an innocent victim of circumstances conspiring against him, and that's why you can't say it in words, because if you did, you'd realise how ridiculous you are.
No, but I don't think what is being done to Harry is fair to him.
No, but he brought it on himself.
No, I don't think he brought it. I don't.
But that's
You
not
said
what
that
you
at the
said, you know what I
beginning!
mean? That was your first.
Oh my fucking gods, this guy isn't even comprehensible. At the beginning of the call, he literally turned around and said Harry brought this on himself. Or at least he intimated that. Now, complete backtrack.
No. Yeah, he
He
did.
chose to leave the royal
He did.
family.
Yeah, he did choose to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that. That was a bad thing to do. I think he's done that for, like you said earlier, to protect him and his family and his wife.
As opposed to paying £12 million to keep yourself out of the dock where you're accused of multiple sexual assaults.
Exactly.
And yet here you are siding with the latter against the former.
I don't think that is necessarily the right thing. I don't think necessarily.
Okay.
Prince Andrew
But that's
should
what
have
you've
done.
been
I think he
doing!
stood up and defended himself.
Well, that's changed in the
In-
last
in
30
the
seconds.
court.
That's changed in the last 30. You said literally 2 minutes
30
ago. You did what
seconds.
everybody else would have done in that situation.
30 seconds and he switched.
To the.
That's all they.
Scale of
That's
1
all
to
that
10, how do you think this call's gone for you?
it took for this guy.
Probably not
30
very well.
seconds and he
Well,
switched.
Quite high up on.
Fuck's sake.
Well, probably 10 if 10's bad.
Pretty close to 10. I'll give you 9.5, Jack, because you know it's not lunchtime yet, and you might have
But I want to make it very
low blood
clear
sugar
that
levels. No, mate, you've had your fun.
No. Just in my own
What?
defence, I'm just trying to put forward for my own defence that I'm just trying to make the point of someone else.
Okay.
I'm not saying that necessarily. This is 100% my opinion. But
Oh,
this
good.
could be
Well,
the
next time
opinion of-
don't
and
ring.
it's the
Don't, next
opinion
time don't ring in with anybody else's opinion but your own. All right. Otherwise,
Okay, no.
otherwise people might get confused.
My God, that fucking asshole. What an idiot. Who? I do not envy James O'Brien his job. I really don't. That was fucking stupid. There's one more I wanted to take a look at on a similar issue, right?
Reflect for a moment on living in a country where the majority of the media sort of treats them as equals. They're both
The title of this one: right-wing media are treating Harry and Andrew as equals. What? What the fuck?
black sheep. They're both in isolation. So you've got one man standing up for what he believes to be right and standing up for his wife.
Exactly.
And whether you agree that he's right or not doesn't matter. That is what he's doing.
Which actually I do. I am far from a monarchist. I'm not a monarchist. I am essentially a I want the UK to become a republic because I think the monarchy is done. Especially this Norman style monarchy, which has been evolved over time. Which the monarchy doesn't even have power anymore. What's the point in having it? We're just wasting money on people who do fuck all for the country. At least I'm trying to do things for other people. No? Alert people to what's going on. Try get people more politically active so we can get rid of the fucking Tories. Actually make this country better again.
He is standing up for what he believes to be right and standing up for his wife, who he believes to have been treated abominably. Not just by the British media, but also by his own family, who are so terrified of the British media that they wouldn't say boo to a Murdoch goose.
Nah.
And then on the other hand, you've got a pudding of a man, a bread pudding in human form, accused of multiple...
That is a description of Prince Andrew I have never heard before. Bread pudding. Nope, never heard of Prince Andrew being called a bread pudding before. That's quite funny.
Sexual assaults against a woman who brought a civil case. A man who we know was knocking around with Jeffrey Epstein, a paedophile people trafficker, long after...
Again, as I said earlier, Prince Andrew went to Epstein's, multiple of Epstein's places actually, not just this one place in New York. He went to multiple places with Epstein before and after he got arrested. Andrew was not going to Epstein and going, "You're a very naughty boy." Or if he was doing it, egging him on.
After Epstein's crimes had seen him hauled before a court. A man who we know took Jeffrey Epstein to the Queen's favourite house, Balmoral, and photographed him and his partner in crime, Ghislaine Maxwell, on the steps, on a bench at the Queen.
That's another one. I need to do a video on her soon. She's really interesting. That Ghislaine Maxwell, whatever she's called. Like, I need to do a deep dive on her at some point.
Queen had famously been photographed in herself. So this milk pudding of a man, this friend of paedophiles, who stayed out of a dock by dint of paying 12 million quid of his mum's money to the woman that had accused him of multiple crimes, he is somehow the yin to Prince Harry's yang, as if the fact that neither of them were allowed to wear uniforms somehow spoke of comparable crimes or comparable offences. I remember watching that and I enjoyed the coronation, and I've got no particular beef with elements of the royal family, but I remember...
Okay, this is where I do differ with James in that I am not a monarchist. Don't need the monarchy anymore. There are some people that say we do, we actually don't. The monarchy doesn't even bring in profit to the... Last year and the year before, the monarchy actually brought in a net loss to the... We spent more on the monarchy than the monarchy gave back to the country. That's a loss. They're of no use anymore.
Watching that. I'm a fan of Prince Harry. So I watched that thing at Camp Bastion. I think it was at Camp Bastion, where he was giving an interview to camera, and the siren went off, and he just pulled off his microphone. He jumped up and he ran towards towards trouble. I know he's in an Apache, or don't hit the deep. But I don't know why. I'm a bit of a sucker for that sort of thing. People running towards danger. It's why I'm a big supporter of the fire service, particularly when they're coming under attack from Tory politicians.
Fucking
Suella
right.
Braverman was at it only this week. People who run towards danger, they're not infallible.
Yeah, sorry, that is yet another one I'll have to do either later on today or tomorrow or something. Suella fucking Braverman attacking the fire service. The Tories don't actually care who they discriminate against now. Whether it's women, whether it's pregnant women, whether it's firemen, policemen, black people, trans people, gay people, people on the left, people in the centre, poor people. They don't care anymore.
They've got flaws. They're like the rest of us. They've got failings, but they've got something inside them that most of us haven't got. And I just liked that. And if you told me, and then of course the image of him walking behind his mum's coffin, which he probably doesn't like people.
No, they don't have it. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I'm not even going to go on my anti-monarchy rant because that's not what this is about.
Talking about, but my God, as someone who's benefited enormously from therapy and suffered a tiny fraction of the trauma that lad must have gone through, that image there, that little boy walking behind it, that coffin, which they made him do, astonishing to think that when he turned up for his dad's coronation, he was reduced to the same status as his milk pudding uncle, the paedophile's friend. I'm truly breathtaking.
No, I think he's a paedophile. Again, I personally think that Andrew is a paedophile himself, and I think he's a molester himself. Because otherwise, he wouldn't have paid this woman off. I'm sorry, like that. No. If he's this honourable dude, he would have gone to court and proven his innocence. Not an honourable person.
But it gets worse.
Which, if I remember rightly, is what the royal family is supposed to be.
It gets worse. Because, well, not only is the disgraced artist formerly known as Prince trying to win back his £3 million a year taxpayer, you and me funded armed security detail, and not only did Priti Patel stick her not inconsiderable oar in by contacting Panjandrams at the palace on behalf of Andrew after apparently breaking bread with his PR advisor. Unbelievable, really. But we also know now that the royal family itself has embarked upon some form of rehabilitation, not of Prince Harry, whose crime was to stand up for himself and his wife, but of Prince Andrew, whose offence was to spend £12 million of his dead mum's money keeping himself out of a dock where a woman had accused him of multiple sexual offences.
Fucking right.
It's not Harry that they're trying to rehabilitate. It's not Harry that was sitting in the passenger seat of Prince William's car last weekend when they all drove to church in Scotland. It was the other one. And I can't get my head around it. I truly can't. Marina Hyde, without whom I think many of us would probably have gone mad over the last few years, Marina Hyde writes in The Guardian today with characteristic brilliance about the sheer impenetrable awfulness of it all. She doesn't go in particularly heavy on Harry, although it's inevitable for me, or impossible for me, not to see them in relief to each other. But he's there, in the passenger seat. And first of all, as a feminist, I was pretty outraged that his wife, William's wife, was sitting in the back. Kate, Duchess of something or other, was sitting in the back of the car, while the paedophile's friend is sitting in the front. It's breathtaking, right?
Oh wow! I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Kate myself. I think she's a bit uppity myself, but oh my fucking gods! Like seriously, freak help me! This is insane.
Do all fusses die down eventually, asks Marina in this morning's newspaper, permitting the fussy to return to life largely as they knew it, while the public scratches its head and tries to recall precisely which scandal, multi-million dollar out-of-court settlement, Pizza Express branch it remembers them from. Sheesh. Driven last weekend by Prince William to church near Balmoral, where the Windsors are currently all gathered with two notable exceptions. And, I mean, there it is.
The fact that Harry couldn't come, like it wasn't. But Andrew was. That's just sickening.
Right? That's truly breathtaking, isn't it? This idea that now, it would seem, they are trying to just casually reinsert Andrew Windsor, the artist.
Public won't have it. Andrew's fucked in terms as far as the public's concerned, by and large. When I talk to people out in the street about Prince Andrew, they have got literally nothing nice to say, and it's not a fucking surprise.
Formerly known as Prince, into polite society, into respectable society. Truly breathtaking. And of course, it takes you back to the image of Harry being sort of treated as some sort of equivalent to his disgraced uncle, and to the little boy walking behind the coffin, and to being the abomination, the abominable abuse visited upon him by right-wing media, up to and including Jeremy Clarkson publishing his private fantasies about watching his wife, watching Meghan walk through the streets of the United Kingdom being pelted with manure while everybody shouted shame. I mean, the mornings where we sort of step back a bit from just how crackpot this country has become are the majority. But when you take your glasses off, when you really get stuck in, we're an absolute mess.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the people that are the most feted and rewarded members of the UK media. The ones that have got some sort of...
Which is why, this is another reason why I don't like the monarchy. They don't deserve the treatment they're getting. Supposedly, they have this position because of God. Well, as far as I'm concerned, what fucking God? Christian God? Well, I don't believe in that God, so why should I treat him like the monarch?
Of weird old man obsession with Prince Harry's wife, to the point where they often seem to be talking or writing about nothing else. And yet when the paedophiles...
More accurately, why should I treat the monarchy with any kind of difference when they do not deserve it? Especially Andrew.
Friend is driven to church by the future king, they haven't got a single syllable to say about it. I wonder whether you could explain that to an outsider. 0345 6060 973. Why is the future king driving his disgraced uncle to church while his brother remains in a form of exile? 0345 6060 973. It's perfectly possible, as quite a few of you are pointing out, that Harry wouldn't want to be welcomed back into the bosom of the family. We don't know. We'll never know. And there's certainly no notion of rehabilitation with Prince Harry. There's nothing to rehabilitate him for. He's done nothing wrong except stand up for what
No, Harry's done everything fucking... Well, yeah. Harry has done what he's needed to. And I think he's done what Diana would have wanted him to. For the country to treat him like this is fucking disgusting. And to equate him with Andrew is even worse.
He believes to be right, and for his wife. The list of what his uncle has done wrong is as long as your arm. And yet he's the one that the future king is driving to church on a Sunday morning. Do you know, in the next hour, we're likely to talk about the decline of Christianity in this country, and the fact that for the first time in living memory, a majority of people living here...
You know what? I actually do want to do a video on this. Oh, it makes me giggle. When I looked at the... I think I did a video earlier this year, maybe last year, on it. And... number of pagans going up. Number of Christians going down.
Here do not describe
Lol.
themselves thus. I think that might be a large part of the reason. Close.
Yep. Christianity is dying and the right wing are going mad. Because what holds up the monarchy? Christianity.
As most people get to church is pictures of the royal family attending mass. And a more, how could one put this politely? A more varied bunch of adulterers and breakers of commandments you are unlikely to find assembled in one place.
They can't even follow their own book properly. It's ridiculous.
Human feces, was it, rather than manure? I can't remember. So, just explain it to an outsider. Why is the paedophile's friend getting the glad hand from his royal family while Prince Harry is still in isolation? Or
it's because Harry is looked on a little bit. Looked on by the left more favourably than anyone else. So he's hated by the right-wing media and the Tories. It's quite simply as simple as that. I don't like to boil things down to something so simple, but I do think it's as simple as that.
Or leave Harry out of it, if you prefer. What do you think about Andrew, the artist formerly known as Prince, being essentially eased back into public life by the future king of this country? 0345 6060 973 is the number.
I don't like Charlie either.
You may well know more about the royal family. Well, no, you don't know more about the royal family than I do. Nobody knows more or less about them. We all know exactly the same about the royal family. People who pop up on your telly claiming to be royal experts, they know exactly the same about the royal family that you do. Everything we know is massaged and released and carefully cultivated. It's a perfectly healthy process by which privacy is protected, and the price paid for that is some sort of form of access. But my goodness me, when you think about that lad in California, serving his country, risking his life, falling in love, and being treated like public enemy number one as a consequence, and then you think about his uncle, who took Jeffrey Epstein to sit on the Queen's bench at Balmoral, and which one is the future king warming up to? Yeah, you got it. You got it in one. Just explain it to me.
It's ridiculous. Our king, our Konunga, supports the paedophile friend, the friend of the paedophile, and who I suspect to be a pedo himself, over his own son. Think about that. Harry is his own son. And he puts his molester brother before him. Yeah. Think about that one.
Have a crack at explaining it to me. I bet you can't, but you're going to have to try.
Well, my theory is the difference is not because of what they did or didn't do, or how bad what they didn't do or do was. It's basically that Harry has broken the family code and Andrew hasn't. And what I mean by that,
oh my, that is the biggest load of cope I've ever heard.
Code, isn't it? Go on.
It was a bit like the mafia, I think.
Yes.
When you're in that family, you cannot talk to the press. You have to certain ways. You can't talk. You've got to kind of follow the family code, which, as far as I can see, is protect William, and then the second in line tends to be the one that they leak stories out.
Leave him alone, and we'll give you some dirt on the other one.
Yes, correct, and that's done in little increments.
Well, go after his wife. Fill your boots. Write what you want about his wife.
Correct.
That'll sell papers, but leave him out of it. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
Well, that's Harry's accusation, isn't it? I think that is part of his thesis.
And I think, that's why Andrew can be rehabilitated, because he didn't break the family code. He,
oh my God,
Harry,
no.
By writing his book and putting everything out.
No. He didn't break the family code is somehow worse. The fact that Harry broke the family code is somehow worse than Andrew being busy mates with a pedo. Yeah, makes a lot of fucking sense.
out there, he stopped them having any ammunition against him. And I think that's the main problem. But I think the thing is,
Note though, Andrew still can't go out in public without eggs being chucked at him.
basically, Andrew kept the code. He didn't say anything to the press. Doesn't matter what he's done because he's kept the code.
And that actually speaks. I didn't think I'd be saying this at 11:36 today, but that speaks to the conversation we had in the last hour about Chinese communism. You may not realise this yet, Sarah, but I'm pretty sure it does because they're thinking about the next Harry, and they're thinking about the great. So if you are born into this family, then the only rules that matter are our rules.
Yes.
And Harry broke our rules. Andrew didn't. Yes. Therefore, there is a way back for him, which means that their great-great-great-grandchildren.
It's fucking disgusting. It just, the whole thing is disgusting, and people wonder why I want to get rid of fucking monarchy.
Children will, the precedent is upheld, isn't it? That the rules you can't break are the rules of what do the mafia call it? Omerta, I think. The rules of omerta, and so you can pay £12 million of your mum's money to a woman who has accused you of 3 separate sexual assaults and not break the family code. But if you call out your family for colluding with the media in attacks upon your wife, then you're toast.
Yeah.
Correct. That's exactly how I see it. I think it's terrible.
Well, then I must invite you to answer the next question, which is how or why does the British public go along with this level of moral corruption?
That's where it ends. I'm going to answer that one. And that's because Britain has been, or at least England, has been brainwashed into worshipping these fucking idiots. Right, it's been half an hour of me doing this about the monarchy. So, yeah. There is no equivalence between Andrew and Harry. There just isn't. And I will fight anyone who says there is. This is fucking disgusting. It actually is. The fact that people are willing to back Andrew over Harry just shows how far the Tories have brought us down so low. It just goes to show just how far low the Tories have brought on us as a country. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Shadow Eater, one angry pagan here. Let me know what you think. I cannot believe this shit. Bye, guys.